This book isn't written for entertainment or academic citations. Instead, it serves as a practical guide built on clinical insights, historical sources, rare manuscripts, and hands-on experience, demonstrating how the body literally responds to language. No metaphors needed. The concept is straightforward but powerful. When people speak with clear intention and precise sound, their words do more than just describe the world. They actually influence the body itself. If this idea holds true, not just as theory, but as something you can observe, then everything we say about ourselves, even silently, triggers real, measurable shifts inside our bodies. For a long time, spirituality has often been seen mainly as emotional comfort or ethical guidance. This book takes a very different approach. Here, language is viewed as a living force, and the body is like a system that follows the instructions embedded in the words it carries. Illness, symptoms, and blockages don't happen by accident. They are logical responses to an internal language system that operates whether or not we're aware of it. The monk who passed down these teachings didn't promote any rigid beliefs. Instead, he taught people to speak with such precision that they could transform their bodies, relationships, and futures. No rituals or ceremonies are required, just a willingness to truly listen. If what you find here doesn't resonate or produce results for you, feel free to move on. But if you start to notice how your everyday words influence your body, you'll begin to see yourself in a new light. You'll understand, without needing to believe, that every word you speak acts like a command to the world about who you are. Chapter 1. The Body as Author. How Language Shapes Health and the Physical Self. Johann Wise often said, "I'm cursed. My body is falling apart. I'm getting worse every day." This comes from one of the most eye-opening sections of a manuscript linked to Paracelsus, presenting a groundbreaking idea that challenges modern medicine. The human body doesn't just respond to chemicals or physical stimuli. It actually follows the instructions delivered through meaningful language. The crucial insight is this: cells don't interpret metaphors. They react directly to the vibrations of the exact words spoken, not to sarcasm or hidden meanings. Johann's story might not be historically verified, but the author uses it to introduce a concept well ahead of its time, one that lines up with current findings in epigenetics, brain immune system communication, and the impact of negative speech on health. When Johann repeated, "I am rotting," Paracelsus didn't see despair. He saw a biological command at work, obeyed by the body's cells. For him, every organ silently followed these words, and disease was simply the body's natural response to harmful commands spoken without awareness. From today's medical viewpoint, this law of the bodily word can be understood through the nervous system, especially the stress response that reacts to language signaling danger or defeat. When people say, "I give up," "This is killing me," or "My body is betraying me," their bodies release stress hormones and inflammation, throwing off natural balance. Research shows that those who often express hopelessness face higher risks of autoimmune diseases, cognitive decline, and stress-related cancers. So words aren't just symbols, they carry real biological orders. Though the old manuscript doesn't use modern scientific language, its core truth matches what neuroscience tells us now. Powerful emotions stirred by words trigger metabolic changes that can cause illness. When Johann says, "My body betrays me," the cells don't judge the feeling. They simply obey. Brain science confirms that emotional language alters brain chemistry, which then affects tissues and organs. As the manuscript states, every word you speak, every thought you hold, every feeling you have becomes a direct instruction to your body. This idea echoes what Dr. Émile Coué described in the late 19th century as operant autosuggestion, though Paracelsus talked about it 300 years earlier, as cells following commands. Coué's famous phrase, "I feel better and better," was more than positive thinking. It was a way to reprogram the body. What made Coué's method work was how patients said it. Slowly, softly, with calm breathing and steady heartbeats, allowing the body to fully absorb the message. This might sound simple now, but it was clinically proven effective in France and Germany for people with psychosomatic conditions. The secret wasn't just the words themselves. It was the rhythm, focus, and confidence in speaking them, so the body could truly listen. Returning to Johann, Paracelsus describes a breathing practice called the breath of the sacred word, designed to erase harmful cellular programming by combining breathing with healing affirmations. In Johann's own routine, every morning before dawn, he would sit facing the rising sun, placing his left hand over his heart and his right hand on his solar plexus. He'd take a deep, intentional breath, starting by filling his belly, then his chest, and finally his throat. With each inhale, he absorbed the fresh energy of the morning. With each exhale, he let go of built-up emotional stress. This breathing method, similar to the yogic practice of pranayama, helps soothe the nervous system, balance the body's rest state, and encourage healing. But the words he spoke during this breathing were more than just positive thoughts. They were clear, powerful commands spoken in the present tense. My body is the perfect home for my eternal soul. Every cell in me vibrates in perfect harmony. My organs move to the rhythm of perfect health. These phrases act like new instructions to the body, replacing harmful beliefs like, I'm falling apart, or my body is betraying me. If cells respond, they need fresh, supportive commands. That's the heart of this idea. Healing doesn't happen simply by believing something. It requires actively rewriting the internal program that governs the body. Ancient traditions understood this well. For example, in the Bible, Jesus called God Abba, a word that expresses a close, trusting relationship. Saying this during prayer helped early Christians experience deep peace, a fact supported by studies on medieval prayer practices. In Advaita Vedanta, the phrase neti neti, not this, not that, is used to shed limiting self-beliefs like I am weak or I am limited, leading the practitioner to the quiet core of their true self. Greek magical texts also contain healing formulas involving divine names, rhythmic chanting, and visualization. These weren't just superstition. Using words with intention was a form of vibrational healing. The voice could shift the body's energy and support recovery from illness. Today, similar concepts are used in modern cancer care. Patients are encouraged to repeat phrases like, my immune system locates and removes damaged cells, while visualizing health. Clinical studies in Houston and Heidelberg show that patients who practice this recover faster, require less pain medication, and experience fewer relapses. What Paracelsus called the sealed word that rewrites cellular memory is now being explored by science at the intersection of brain research and meditation. But not all words have power. Paracelsus warned that the body only responds when commands are spoken with confidence, clarity, and genuine feeling. Words spoken doubtfully or without meaning don't create change. This explains why many positive affirmations don't work. They often lack real emotion, consistency, and focus. The body doesn't respond to empty wishes, but to commands charged with emotional energy. If you want to try this yourself, here's a simple 3-step exercise to rewrite your inner dialogue. 1. Notice. For 3 days, write down every automatic statement you make about your body, health, energy, or pain, like "I'm so tired" or "my stomach always hurts." 2. Rewrite. Turn each negative phrase into a positive, clear command in the present tense, targeting the specific body part involved. For example, "My stomach digests calmly," or "Every cell in my digestive system supports my health." 3. Feel it. Say each new phrase during a full breath cycle, placing your hands over the related organ or nerve area every morning for 1 week. Watch closely how your energy, sleep, mood, or pain shifts. Before starting, ask yourself, what negative things do I say without realizing? How might these complaints actually be instructions my body has been following? What commands have shaped my body all these years based on what I say? This concept might feel strange if you think of the body as just a physical machine separate from the mind. But both research and ancient wisdom point to the fact that we are integrated systems that respond to the words we repeat. Our words are like seeds that grow into our body's chemistry. We write the story of ourselves in flesh, with the silent narratives we tell inside. No external treatment can truly heal us until we first correct the internal commands we've been giving ourselves, one word at a time. Chapter 2. The Messenger Blood. How blood carries information, memory, and inner healing. In the second section of the manuscript linked to Paracelsus, we encounter a scene that's both simple and striking. The Duchess Philippon, returning from a diplomatic mission, cries out, "My blood is poisoned. No matter what I drink or how I pray, it's inside me." The monk copying the text didn't see this as just an emotional outburst, but as a powerful declaration with real effects on her body. From that point, the Duchess began experiencing worsening symptoms: damaged blood vessels, immune troubles, blood clotting problems, and heightened sensitivity. The manuscript doesn't provide a modern diagnosis, but makes it clear that her claim, "My blood is poisoned," was the root cause of her health issues. This story introduces a key concept in Hermetic medicine. Blood isn't just a life-sustaining fluid or oxygen carrier. It's a subtle river that carries not only nutrients and waste, but also signals, mental patterns, and emotional energy stored within the blood itself. In alchemy, this was called the inner balm, and in Jewish mysticism, blood carries the nephesh, or lower soul. To grasp this today, we need a modern scientific perspective. Blood is composed of cells, red, white, and platelets, and plasma, the liquid part that makes up over half its volume. Plasma carries salts, sugars, proteins, and a complex web of chemical messengers. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, molecules that regulate inflammation, brain chemicals influencing mood, and tiny vesicles called exosomes that can alter gene expression in other cells. In essence, blood transports instructions controlling inflammation, healing, immune defense, pain, sleep, hunger, emotions, and memory. When the Duchess said, "My blood is poisoned," she wasn't just expressing illness. She was sending a command to her body to become sick. This aligns with the Hermetic principle. By labeling her blood as poison, she implanted that message deep into her body's systems, which respond to ongoing internal dialogue. From a mind-body health standpoint, believing she was toxic kept her stress response activated, raised cortisol levels, impaired immune response, and led to chronic inflammation and harmful immune patterns tied to autoimmune disease, fatigue, and cognitive decline. Simply put, her blood began reflecting the message her words created. The manuscript also details a healing practice beyond positive affirmations. The Duchess was given a special vibrational name, Jaimas, intended to help her heal internally. This name had no literal meaning but functioned as a symbolic key to shift her inner state. She was instructed to whisper Jaimas each morning while crossing her hands over her chest. This ritual can be understood as a simple method to calm the nervous system through sound and intention. Modern research shows that gentle, loving sounds activate brain areas that reduce stress and inflammation. The visualization was important too. The Duchess was asked to picture her blood as a glowing golden river flowing through her body, cleansing her organs, tissues, and even her thoughts. This wasn't just imagination. It was a mind-body technique to transform her feelings about her own toxicity. Brain imaging today confirms that guided visualizations involving colors, temperature, and movement can reshape the nervous system, improving heart rate variability, relaxing blood vessels, and influencing immune function through brain-immune connections. The idea of golden blood isn't merely poetic. It's a powerful symbol that, practiced daily, rewires how the body perceives itself internally. Spiritual traditions have long recognized this. Leviticus states, "For the life of the flesh is in the blood." Leviticus 17:11. This verse has often been misunderstood as just a ritual rule, but it holds a deep spiritual truth. Blood carries the soul in physical form. In Kabbalah, this soul aspect is called the nephesh. The soul moves with the blood and leaves when the blood becomes corrupted. The Zohar teaches that negative thoughts pollute the blood and delay the soul's healing. So, in Kabbalistic tradition, purifying the blood was essential for spiritual growth. Similarly, Islamic prophetic medicine emphasizes keeping blood pure through diet, emotional control, and mindful fasting. The Prophet Muhammad said, "The liver is the caliph of the blood, but the heart is its ruler." In other words, the heart, our conscious will, guides the blood. When the heart is balanced, the blood carries harmony. When corrupted, the blood becomes a messenger of that corruption. Ancient Egyptians called the bloodstream the Nile of the body. Their funerary rites included prayers to protect this inner river from harm caused by enemies' words. Medical texts from Egypt's Middle Kingdom contain formulas asking for a pure heart to refresh the body's inner flow, showing how pure speech and healthy blood flow were deeply linked. Even Greco-Roman medicine recognized that blood could be influenced not just by diet or environment, but also by emotions. Galen wrote, "Constant fear chills the blood, anger makes it boil, grief turns it black." While lacking modern science, this reflects time-tested wisdom. Blood reacts to the soul. Today, psychosomatic research confirms that people with long-term emotional disorders, like depression, PTSD, or anxiety, show clear changes in their blood. Fewer regulatory T cells, more inflammation-causing monocytes, and imbalances in iron and proteins tied to inflammation, even without infection. What once was called emotionally sick blood can now be measured in labs. Based on this, the manuscript recommends a 21-day ritual to protect and heal the blood, with 4 daily steps. 1. Right after waking, say the special name Jaimas clearly and with intention, placing your hands on your chest. 2. Spend 5 to 7 minutes visualizing your blood as a glowing golden liquid flowing throughout your body. 3. Say aloud, "I consecrate my blood to the order of health, divine memory, and inner purity." 4. Keep a daily journal tracking your energy, sleep, mental clarity, and overall body sensations. It's a smart move to keep a journal and jot down any changes you notice along the way. This practice isn't meant to take the place of professional medical care, but it can support your body's natural healing by bringing your mind, body, and spirit into alignment. Now take a moment to reflect on your own blood. What stories have you inherited about your family's health, your medical history, or weak veins? What messages about your body have you grown up hearing? Have doctors, relatives, or others passed down ideas that your body has accepted without question? Because if blood truly listens and reacts, then everything we say about it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. This chapter isn't here to challenge modern medicine. Rather, it serves as a reminder of a long-overlooked truth. Blood is more than just a fluid. It's a message. How you name it helps shape what it becomes. Chapter 3. How emotions impact the body, holding back feelings, inflammation, and turning inner toxicity into healing. In the middle section of the manuscript tied to Paracelsus's later followers, the story of Doña Catalina de Mendoza stands out with vivid medical and spiritual details that go beyond what you can see on the surface. This noble woman, known for being quiet and reserved, developed strange sores on her torso and back. What was unusual was that these sores would shift locations each week without any clear pattern or infection. The court doctors attributed her condition to humoral congestion caused by deep sadness, but the monks caring for her spiritually noticed something even more telling. Catalina holds back her anger. She doesn't speak it, but inside she burns. Saying someone burns in silence might sound like a metaphor, but it actually reflects real physical consequences of bottling up emotions. Keeping emotions inside isn't the same as feeling nothing. When emotions are suppressed, they create pressure inside the body. That pressure doesn't vanish. It triggers chemical changes that affect how the body functions. Anger that's never expressed doesn't just disappear. It gets stored in tissues and eventually causes physical damage. The manuscript explains this emotional law with symbolic language, but in modern terms, it means ongoing emotional repression leads to chronic stress, elevated cortisol levels, immune activation, inflammation, increased tissue sensitivity, and damage to several organs. This cycle is complex but self-perpetuating. Doña Catalina not only felt anger, she also felt guilty for feeling it, which made her suppress it even more. This only intensified the inflammation and spread the symptoms to organs like her liver, intestines, and skin. Science today backs this up. People who struggle to express emotions, those with somatization disorders or alexithymia, show persistent changes in inflammatory markers and stress hormones. This isn't just about mood. It reflects a pattern where unspoken feelings lead to physical illness. The manuscript describes this process as the poison of the soul dripping through the tissues like black resin. This image connects to ancient religious texts like the Book of Enoch, which speaks of fallen beings causing a burning fire in people's bones that gradually turns their bodies to poison. This idea likely points to deep, unresolved anger that doesn't destroy immediately but builds up and alters the body over time. In Tibetan medicine, this condition is called perturbed arlung, which means disturbed vital energy or life force. Perturbed arlung relates to the flow of movement, thought, and emotional energy. When strong feelings like anger, sadness, or fear are held inside too long, this energy gets stuck and causes symptoms such as internal heat, insomnia, shifting sores, and physical issues that don't respond well to typical treatments. Traditional healing focuses less on medicine and more on rituals and bodywork. Rhythmic movement, controlled sounds, writing down feelings, and symbolically releasing emotions. Back in the manuscript, Doña Catalina's healing began when the monk caring for her gave her a bold instruction for that era. She needed to name her anger out loud. The monk said, "Tell me who you're angry at and why." She resisted for a week, but eventually said, "I burn with anger toward Don Inigo for what he did to my sister. I wanted to hurt him, but held it back." The moment she spoke this, her breathing relaxed, her face color improved, and the sores stopped moving and started healing. Brain science explains this well. Clearly naming an emotion changes how the brain processes it. Using specific words activates brain areas that calm the emotional centers, lowering stress and physical reactions. This labeling technique in psychology helps reduce emotional distress, blood pressure, and nervous system overactivity in people coping with trauma, fear, or chronic pain. It's not about rehashing the whole story repeatedly. It's about clearly naming what you feel. The manuscript turns this idea into a practical ritual called organ release, which involves 3 steps. Locate where the emotion is stored, say the feeling out loud, and replace it with something new. During this practice, the person places a hand on the part of the body where the emotion lives and quietly voices the feeling and its cause. For example, burning anger toward my mother for not protecting me, or dull pain from being left without goodbye. The body is treated as a partner in healing, not just an object to be fixed. The key is to say out loud exactly what you're feeling. No holding back, no softening, no judging yourself. When you put a name to that feeling, you give yourself permission to release it. That release can come through talking it out, a loud scream, moving your body, shaking, pressing on a sore spot, stretching, or writing freely without ever reading it again. The goal isn't to analyze or make sense of the emotion, but simply to let it flow out. After that, say a positive phrase in the present tense, clear and confident, to start triggering the opposite chemicals in your body. For example, activate now the peaceful compounds in my glands, bones, and stomach. It might sound strange, but this is connected to proven methods that help your body produce feel-good chemicals like oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. Techniques like mindful touch, deep nasal breathing, and picturing calming scenes support this process. You need to follow the full routine daily for about 40 days because it takes that long for your body to change deeply. Studies show that 6 weeks of consistent practice can create lasting shifts in how your genes express, how you experience emotions, and how your body manages inflammation. Catalina, for example, saw her sores disappear by day 33. There's no evidence that the number 40 has any magical power, even though the manuscript calls it the day of reversal. What truly counts is that this practice isn't just about thinking positive thoughts or rushing to forgive. It's about transforming the toxic stuff inside through 3 main steps: honestly naming your emotions, expressing them safely, and stating a healing affirmation. Try this simple exercise. What feelings have you been carrying inside for years without ever naming? What words would you shout if you knew you couldn't be punished? Which part of your body aches the most from holding those feelings in? What names or truths have you never spoken aloud? The real poison isn't what others did to you. It's what you keep bottled up inside without changing. This chapter isn't about letting emotions run wild or forcing yourself to block pain. It's about emotional alchemy, a method to heal your body. When you call out the fire inside, it stops burning quietly. And when you give it shape, you can transform it into something that helps you grow. Chapter 4: Invisible Structure, Sacred Geometry, Morphogenetic Fields, and Reorganizing the Body and Mind. The Curious Case of Friedrich B., tucked away in the secret notes of the Basel Dreamorium, reveals a fascinating link between the shape of our bodies, trauma, and how we function. Friedrich, a young apprentice engraver, suffered a severe emotional blow after a fierce fight with his father, what the text calls a break in the masculine axis. Following this, he suddenly lost movement in his left arm and leg. Doctors saw no physical damage to his spine or nerves, yet his paralysis dragged on for months. Then a monk physician arrived with a different approach. Rather than focusing solely on muscles, he looked for what he termed a break in the inner geometric pattern. This idea, pretty radical for its time, comes from Hermetic teachings found in the manuscript. Illness happens when the body's geometry gets distorted, and true health means following the divine proportion. Although it might sound like spiritual talk, it aligns surprisingly well with modern science. Think embryology, fractal shapes in nature, and Rupert Sheldrake's concept of morphogenetic fields. Sheldrake's theory suggests that living beings are shaped not only by genes, but also by invisible organizing fields that guide growth and healing. While some scientists remain skeptical, certain mysteries, like tissue regeneration or how posture stores trauma, aren't fully explained by molecules alone. For Friedrich, the monk didn't prescribe herbs or rituals. Instead, he had Friedrich lie on his back and picture his spine as a ladder made of light. Each vertebra was imagined as a glowing orb connected to its neighbors by slow, twisting blue spirals. Starting at the base of the spine, this visualization moved upward, vertebra by vertebra, until reaching the troubled spot. Then, using his good hand, Friedrich traced an imaginary circle on his skin while reciting, "Restore the design, reclaim the form, reactivate obedience." After 3 weeks of this daily practice, he began to regain movement, a recovery that wasn't just coincidence or placebo. From a neuroscience perspective, this is a form of guided motor imagery. Imagining movement activates the brain's pathways responsible for controlling motion, even when the body remains still. Research shows that simply thinking about moving a paralyzed limb stimulates the same brain areas as actual movement, especially when combined with touch or visual aids. What sets the monk's method apart is his use of geometric shapes, circles, triangles, spirals, pentagons, as healing tools, each linked to a body system. Circles for digestion, triangles for hormones, pentagons for immunity, and spirals for nerves. This isn't superstition. Our anatomy actually follows geometric patterns. The golden ratio, around 1.618, appears in heart valves, the inner ear, and finger bones. The heart's muscle fibers form a spiral pattern, discovered by Francisco Torrent Guasp, meaning it contracts like a twisted rope rather than a simple pump. This spiral also shows up in breathing. The diaphragm moves in a twisting motion, creating donut-shaped energy fields, which may affect the nervous system and body awareness. When the manuscript speaks of distorted geometry, it means more than bad posture or visible misalignments. It's about the body's vibrational pattern being out of sync. This matches Harold Saxonbur's 1940s research on electrical fields in living organisms, which identified a life field guiding shape and growth. When trauma, intense emotions, or negative words disrupt this field, the body's form and functions suffer. Health means harmony in this field. Illness means chaos. Heart rate variability research supports this. Calm feelings create smooth heart rhythms, while stress causes irregular ones. Since the heart communicates with the brain via the vagus nerve, improving heart shape, breathing, or emotional balance helps reset the body and mind. In Friedrich's treatment, called the geometric reset, here's the process. 1. Conscious posture sec. The patient examines their body in a mirror or stands still to spot any tension, unevenness, or stuck areas. 2. Air tracing. Using a finger, the patient slowly draws geometric shapes in the air near major joints, saying healing phrases aloud. 3. Skin tracing. The same shapes are gently traced on the skin, following natural body curves as if restoring the original blueprint. 4. Sensory focus and declaration. The patient states, "Restore my original design, unfold divine proportion in my tissues, obey the sacred plan," while practicing focused breathing to reinforce intention. The grimoire connects this practice to ancient diagrams like Hindu yantras, used for healing, meditation, and reorganizing inner energy. The Shara yantra, for example, is made of overlapping triangles symbolizing the harmony of opposing forces converging at the soul's center. These shapes weren't just symbolic, they were seen as actual energetic structures. Simply gazing at them was believed to shift the body's vital energy and, in turn, the body itself. Similarly, Hebrew Kabbalah's Tree of Life, with its 10 sephirot and 22 connecting paths, is more than a spiritual map. It corresponds to body parts. For instance, Geburah aligns with the liver, Tifereh with the heart, and Yesod with reproductive organs. Mystics would trace these paths over the body to clear blockages. In Christian tradition, medieval cathedrals served as architectural mandalas for meditation and inner realignment. Chartres Cathedral's design follows the golden ratio, and its central rose window features geometric patterns crafted as visual tools for contemplation. While geometry might seem like just art, the grimoire teaches it's actually medicine for the unseen body. A modern example highlights this power. A 43-year-old woman with partial spinal injury from a car accident had lost control of her legs. After months of stalled progress, she began a structured motor imagery practice paired with focused geometry, imagining downward triangles on her hips, circles on her knees, spirals on her ankles, and vertical lines running from her lower back to her head, all synchronized with her breathing. Within 6 weeks, she regained some sensation and limited movement, enough to start a new physical therapy phase. Her recovery matched changes seen in brain scans and improved heart rate patterns. This isn't about ignoring science. It's about expanding it. The body responds to form, not because of superstition, but because form equals vibrational order, and vibration directs living tissue. When someone corrects their internal geometry, they don't just fix posture. They realign their body's systems to follow the sacred design that once kept them whole. Chapter 5. The Heart as an Electromagnetic Altar. Moral Balance, Bioelectricity, and Energy Sharing. The story of Lorenzo de' Medici, a 15th century Florentine banker known for both generous donations to hospitals and tough lending practices during the plague, is featured in the Codex Regula Corporis as an example of inner turmoil. This isn't just a tale of right and wrong, it reflects a real physical state called the heart's electromagnetic dissonance. Lorenzo described his heart as a temple divided between two opposing forces. After his acts of charity, he would feel sudden heart palpitations, difficulty sinking his breath, and a sense of emotional fracture. The manuscript explains this as his body's energy field becoming disturbed by conflicting intentions. Though phrased in old terms, this matches what science now calls cardiac incoherence, an irregular heart rate pattern tied to ongoing emotional or moral conflict. Heart rate variability, HRV, isn't just a number. It reveals how well your nervous system handles stress and adapts to challenges. When HRV flows smoothly and rhythmically, it signals calm, emotional stability, and inner peace. But when someone wrestles with mismatched actions and beliefs, their HRV becomes erratic, showing stress stuck inside with no outlet. Beyond pumping blood, the heart has its own nervous system with around 40,000 neurons. sometimes called the heart-brain. It communicates back and forth with the main brain, especially emotional centers, through the vagus nerve. The heart also generates the body's strongest electromagnetic field, 60 to 100 times more powerful than the brain's, which can be detected several feet away. This means the heart's condition, how clear and balanced its intentions are, impacts both the body and people nearby. Recent research reveals that when two people are close, their heart rhythms can synchronize without them even noticing. One person's heart coherence can influence the others, especially in close or trusting relationships. In the manuscript, Lorenzo's healing ritual is called the purification of the altar. It begins with openly naming moral conflicts, not as a form of punishment, but as a way to release emotional tension. The idea is that acknowledging your inner struggles helps clear blockages in your energy. This can be done alone through writing, speaking quietly to yourself, or thoughtful reflection. The key is to consciously recognize your inner battle. Next is syncing your breath with your heartbeat. The grimoire advises, listen to your pulse as a sacred drum. Let your breath follow its rhythm. This echoes modern resonance breathing techniques, where you breathe in tune with your heart to foster harmony. This practice eases anxiety, lowers blood pressure, and reduces fatigue. The target breathing rate is about 5 to 6 breaths per minute. Inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, which activates calming nerve responses. The final step is a spoken affirmation treating the heart as the center of morals and energy. With your right hand on your chest, you say, I give coherence to my altar. All action responds to unity. This simple phrase acts like a mental and physical anchor. Studies show that pairing such affirmations with coherent breathing leads to steadier heart rhythms and lower stress hormones like cortisol, as well as reduced blood pressure. The saying, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God," Matthew 5:8, often viewed as a moral teaching, was understood by early Christian monks as a description of heart coherence, enabling a direct connection with the divine. Their prayer of the heart, Lord Jesus, have mercy on me, used focused breathing and attention on the chest to deepen awareness, emotional clarity, and connection to others. In Islam, the qalb, heart, is not only the seat of emotions, but also the center of deep knowledge. The scholar Al-Ghazal wrote that true wisdom lives in a pure heart, and when the heart is clouded by conflicting desires, it results in illness, insomnia, fatigue, sexual problems, and loss of purpose. From an energy medicine perspective, this cloudiness is field noise. A coherent heart field acts like a carrier wave for other body systems, hormonal, immune, and nervous. When this wave is steady, these systems work in harmony. When it's chaotic, the entire system gets confused. The manuscript says this causes the altar to falter, and with it the temple's whole ritual. One way to restore coherence is through a personal ethics check, not to judge yourself, but to honestly identify ongoing conflicts between your values and actions. For example, someone who preaches generosity but secretly resents others, or who promotes health but harms their own body. Each conflict should be written down, named, accepted, and replaced with a small action aligned with true values, not as punishment, but as realignment. The grimoire also suggests keeping a relational field journal for 7 days, noting how your inner state affects your interactions. Observe without judgment whether conversations flow smoothly or become tense, and whether emotional or physical connections build or break down. This reveals how your heart's energy influences others. A balanced heart brings harmony. A divided heart causes confusion. Finally, there's a daily heart consecration ritual. Right after waking, before checking your phone, Sit quietly, close your eyes, feel your pulse, and breathe along with it. Place a hand on your chest and say, "I consecrate this day to alignment. All in me will be one." This simple practice isn't just symbolic. It activates your calming nervous system, lowers your resting heart rate, and starts your day with balanced heart rhythms, improving focus, emotional memory, and kindness. The heart is an altar because it sends, receives, and organizes. Not just as a metaphor, but in a real, physical way. Keeping it balanced means maintaining a functioning temple inside you. Splitting it with conflicting intentions sparks an energy battle that blocks true peace. Chapter 6. Breath as the bridge between soul and body. Rhythms, centers, and healing after trauma. Margarita, a patient described in an ancient healing text, developed breathing difficulties after a traumatic event during her teenage years. A moment the manuscript calls breath's arrest. Since then, she would occasionally stop breathing briefly without any physical cause, breathe rapidly when reminded of the trauma, and freeze her breath whenever confronted by a man in authority. The text explains this pattern as her soul pulling away from her body every time fear literally took her breath away. Her story highlights something often overlooked in modern spiritual practices. Breath isn't just about oxygen. It's the link between body, emotions, and mind. Breathing regulates how our nervous system balances stress and calm, influences heart rhythms, brain function, and the calming vagus nerve. Spiritually, breath is viewed as a divine gift. The ancient Corpus Hermeticum states, "The breath you received is more than air. It's a gift from the source of all cycles." On a physical level, breathing works mainly through two aspects: depth and rhythm. Deep belly breathing, where your stomach rises with each inhale, activates your relaxation response, slows your heart rate, calms your nervous system, and helps regulate emotions. This kind of breath is natural for healthy babies, experienced meditators, and during deep sleep. Conversely, shallow chest breathing, which is common in people dealing with chronic stress or trauma, lowers carbon dioxide levels in the blood, reduces blood flow to the brain, tightens chest muscles, and keeps the body stuck in a threat mode. Margarita's records reveal that after her trauma, she breathed shallowly with little belly movement, and her heart and lungs were out of sync. The manuscript poetically notes, "The body doesn't feel safe, and the soul won't return because the temple stays closed." Though expressed in poetic language, this aligns with modern science, showing how breath awareness reconnects body and mind. To help restore this connection, the text recommends practicing 4 special breathing techniques found across traditions, like Vedic pranayama, Chinese qigong, Christian prayer rhythms, and newborn care methods. 1. Root breath. A deep breath aimed at the base of the spine, engaging the lower body and feelings of safety, similar to yoga's pranayama or Taoist breath of earth. This breath calms the brain's threat response and fosters a sense of grounding. Studies with infants show syncing their breathing with caregivers supports brain development and temperature regulation. 2. Crown rise. Breath. Breathing air gently upward toward the top of the head, following the body's vertical axis. Found in practices like Sushumna pranayama or monastic breath prayers, this breath helps shift awareness from the body to the mind, easing trauma-related memories. Brain imaging shows it activates restful networks and reduces threat responses. 3. Expansion breath. Focused on opening the chest out to the sides and back, this breath encourages openness and compassion. It's linked to the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, balanced heart rhythms, and better social connection. Ancient Sufi writings say those who breathe with an open chest invite higher spiritual energy. Physically, it relaxes chest muscles, holding tension from stress. 4. Integration breath. A smooth, flowing cycle combining root, chest, and crown breaths. This advanced practice supports trauma healing by linking brain, heart, and gut, improving nervous system balance, and calming brain areas involved in focus and emotion. The manuscript advises practicing these breaths twice daily, at least 7 minutes each time, ideally at sunrise and sunset. It recommends keeping a journal to track sleep quality, dreams, feelings of safety, chest mobility, and fewer breath-holding episodes. It warns, don't breathe as if it's a burden, but as a promise. Don't just survive. Breathe to live fully. Modern research with veterans shows that slow breathing, around 6 to 8 breaths per minute, reduces PTSD symptoms, improves heart rate variability, and normalizes sleep. Focused breathing changes not only the body, but also helps bring the soul back into the body by creating a stable sense of presence. You can begin this process by asking yourself simple questions, not to find quick answers, but to tap into your body's memory. When do you hold your breath around authority? What memories surface with that feeling? What images come up when you breathe fully into your belly? When, during the day, do you breathe freely, without tension? Your body can't truly be inhabited without breath, and your soul can't settle into a body that breathes as if it's shutting down. Healing happens not only in your emotions, but in the breath that supports them. Restoring your natural breathing isn't just a technique, it's reclaiming your personal power. Chapter 7. The Power of the Spoken Word. Intentional voice, larynx vibration, and healing commands for tissue repair. Hans Meerman began losing vision in his right eye around age 54. Despite thorough eye exams, doctors couldn't find any obvious physical cause for his symptoms. Narrowed sight, blurriness, and light sensitivity. But his struggle was real. In an old medical journal, Hans's story reaches a turning point. After moving to a Swiss monastery during the winter of 1893, he started a daily ritual at dawn, repeating a focused phrase with strong intention. I am the light that illuminates my own eyes. My cells see because my soul is ignited. Weeks later, he wrote that his vision had noticeably improved. While this story isn't medically verified and is often treated like legend, the manuscript preserves it as a powerful example of the difference between empty words and intentional speech. This chapter explores how focused vocalizing can support healing, not just through positive thinking or simple affirmations, but through a combination of body awareness, meaning, vibration, and attention. The crucial insight: the body responds not just to what you say, but how you say it, especially where inside your body the words arise from. From a neuroscience perspective, producing steady, meaningful sounds, especially low tones and open vowels, stimulates the vagus nerve through its connection to the voice box. This activation releases calming chemicals, lowers stress hormones, slows heart rate, and turns on the body's relaxation response, all essential for healing. Modern studies show that singing or deliberate vocal vibrations can ease pain and speed recovery after surgery. But these vibrations do more than influence the nervous system. Many parts of the body, like connective tissue, nerve clusters, and the skull's hollow spaces, are sensitive to vibration. When you hum quietly with your mouth closed, directing the sound toward your head as in the Brahmari breathing technique, the resonance vibrates in your sinuses and soothes emotional centers in the brain. This isn't superstition. Using internal vibration shapes how we perceive reality, sharpen our focus, and even modulate immune responses, such as boosting anti-inflammatory signals. Hans Merman's daily chant, knowingly or not, hit all these notes. He spoke rhythmically, with full emotional focus in the present tense, and timed it with dawn. A moment many ancient cultures believed held special transformative power. For example, Zoroastrian tradition teaches that words spoken before sunrise take form in the sacred fire. Similar ideas appear in Hebrew prayers and Vedic morning chants, all emphasizing the liminal moment between night and day. Building on these insights, the manuscript identifies 13 levels of speech. The dormant word is when phrases are repeated without feeling or focus. They don't cause any real physical change. Think, "I hope things get better," said without conviction. The awakened word happens when you speak with some awareness but without full bodily connection or rhythm, like reading affirmations properly but without deep feeling. The ignited word arises from a centered, deeply focused place inside you, combining body awareness, breath control, and tone that matches your surroundings. This level of speech can genuinely create change. This idea parallels Viktor Frankl's logotherapy, which highlights meaning as essential for survival. But Frankl missed the vibrational and physical power of words. This chapter pushes further. Spoken with full intention, words don't just carry meaning. They influence your body's chemistry. Research on hypnosis and healing confirms this. For instance, a 2002 study found that patients recovering from surgery healed faster and felt less pain when guided by hypnotic speech synchronized with their breathing. The words acted like commands for the body. The manuscript offers a 30-day practice called the Light Experiment. Every morning before opening your eyes, say slowly and clearly, "I am the light that illuminates my own eyes." Speak with full focus, in a low, steady voice, imagining light reaching your eyes and the back of your head. Keep a short journal noting any changes in your vision, color, sharpness, depth, light sensitivity, as well as physical sensations like head tension, eye discomfort, or fatigue, and emotional shifts like clarity or inner brightness. Results may not come immediately, but over time this practice rewires how your mind and body communicate. The text says you must ignite the word until your body remembers it can respond. You can begin by creating a 24-hour verbal hygiene plan in 3 simple steps. First, notice and write down every negative or unclear phrase you say to yourself. Second, categorize these phrases as dormant, awakened, or ignited. Third, replace each with a clear, positive phrase in the present tense, spoken with purpose and steady rhythm. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "I see no way out of this," switch it to, "I am seeing the clear path ahead," said calmly while focusing on your eyes and breathing deeply from your diaphragm. But it's essential to truly believe these new phrases for them to take root. Positive change isn't automatic. It grows through repeated practice when mind and body are ready. Words come alive when your body is prepared to receive them. Chapter 8. Unified Consciousness, Identity, Masks, and System Change, or Rano Roll. Deep in the archives of the Abbey of Saint-Hilaire is a case once labeled as female hysteria that actually reveals a vital connection between mind and body. Isabelle de Montmorency, the youngest daughter of a noble family, began visiting the monastery frequently starting at age 27. She described experiencing what she called soul shifts. In letters preserved from that time, Isabelle wrote, "There are 7 different women inside me, each wanting control at different moments. My body isn't sick by accident. It's confused about who I truly am. The records detail sudden drops in blood pressure, temporary loss of voice, shifting headaches, and irregular menstrual cycles with no clear medical explanation. What's striking is how her symptoms changed depending on which identity she was inhabiting that day. The obedient daughter, the secret lover, the penitent, the healer, the perfect mother, the religious martyr, and an unknown stranger. Each identity had its own voice, posture, breathing style, and, according to the monks, even a unique scent. What once seemed mysterious is now better understood as the body reacting to competing identities in the mind. The nervous, hormonal, and immune systems don't just respond to physical triggers, they take orders from these inner personas. When these parts clash, the body's autonomic nervous system gets caught in a tug of war. Some identities drain energy, while others crank up stress, leading to high blood pressure, digestive issues, or insomnia. This concept isn't new. Ancient Gnostic texts quote Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas saying, "When you cast out what's inside you, it will save you. If not, it will destroy you." Early interpreters saw this as a warning against being trapped behind too many masks that cover your true self. Not possession by demons, but a fragmented identity. Neoplatonists like Plotinus and Porphyry spoke of the leman, a core self that guides life when it's not overshadowed by social roles or family expectations. Problems start when those roles suppress the liman, causing mental splits and physical symptoms. Today, Richard Schwartz's internal family systems, IFS therapy, describes the mind as made of many parts plus a central self that can bring harmony. But IFS doesn't fully explain how conflicting parts cause physical illness, or how each mask affects the body. This guide aims to fill that gap, helping you identify, communicate with, release, and integrate these parts without leaving behind physical damage. The first step, safeguarded in the monasteries of Cassiquiacum, is recognizing your main masks. This isn't quick introspection or casual meditation. It's a specific practice. For 7 days, write non-stop answering, "Who am I when no one's watching me?" Let the responses flow naturally. At the same time, notice which parts of your body tense or relax as different roles emerge. New aches, digestion shifts, or sleep troubles tied to certain times. Once you know your key masks, start having real conversations with each, speaking out loud, in private, using their voice, letting them explain their purpose, pain, and origin. Many masks form after trauma. The obedient child from shame, the caretaker from family struggles, the mother who sacrificed her dreams to others' demands. Each has a reason. The goal isn't to erase them, but to return them to their roots, past patterns that no longer need to run your life. You'll need a safe space and an empty chair to imagine each mask sitting there, following 3 steps: recognize, thank, and release. The final step strengthens your core self through body awareness, quiet moments, and mindful speech. One phrase Isabel wrote before passing was, "My heart no longer beats for foreign roles, but for the self I've always been." Repeating this each morning for 21 days reshapes your inner life. It's more than a hopeful thought. It's a command to your heart, the center of deep knowing in many spiritual traditions. This work creates real bodily shifts. So keep a daily log tracking sleep, digestion, headaches, menstrual cycles, energy, and mood as you shed these masks. This helps reveal how certain roles drain specific organs. Changing family roles is especially challenging. That's why this guide offers a transition plan. You don't disappear from your social identities, but you show up as a unified self, whole, not fractured by worn-out roles. You can still be a child, partner, or worker, but from a solid inner core, not a collection of masks that harm your body. Before major events, try this quick check-in. Take 3 slow breaths, focus on your chest, and silently ask, which mask am I about to speak from? In the end, Isabel's healing wasn't about curing symptoms, but about stepping back from her many masks. When the soul splinters into parts, the body gets confused and falls ill. Being unified isn't just spiritual, it's vital for your body's health. Multiple identities don't enrich your life, they create noise. And the soul can't sing if it has to share its breath among 7 masks.